All right. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch chat? Playing through a league with the Dimir Basim list. This is AspiringSpike's build. And we're going to see how it plays out. I looked at Basim when the card first got spoiled. It is a very interesting card. Let's pull it up on the preview pane. So it's blue and black for a 2/2. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. So historic spells are artifacts, any artifact, legendaries, and sagas. So like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, draw a card. Mishra's Bauble, Mox Amber, draw a card. Your legendary creatures like a second Basim, Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student, Tasker, the Golden Fang, all draw. Whenever do, and Basim can't be blocked that turn. So you draw a card, Basim can't be blocked. Whenever Basim deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. So you kind of snowball your Basim, you draw cards, help you find more ways to draw cards, make your Basim unblockable, attack through. You pair it, in this case, with cheap legendaries like Tamiyo and Tasker that allow you to not only draw cards, but enable Mox Amber, help you find your interactive pieces a little more consistently. Psychic Frog and Orcish Bowmaster is your non-legendary, just like value blue-black pieces. Help you clear out the way for Basim. Attack through if the ground plan's not working. Draw you more cards. Find ways to deal with whatever your opponent's got going on. Things I really like about the deck. First off, whole bunch of 4-ofs. 4 Tamiyo, 4 Frog, 4 Bowmaster, 4 Basim, 4 Counterspell, 4 Push, 4 Mox Amber, 4 Bauble. So a lot of consistency to the main deck. Cling to Dust, Deluge look a little out of place. So interested to see how those do. You are a deck that cares about legendaries. So you're going to have a lot of games where you have like multiple Mox Amber, multiple Basim, multiple Tamiyo. So hopefully Psychic Frog can do a pretty good job of filtering through some of those extra cards. Or you can always just cast your extra legendaries into Basim to draw, make it unblockable, replace that card. It is important to note that Basim can only trigger once per turn. So you can't like Mox Amber, Mishra's Bauble, second Mox Amber, float a mana, draw 3 cards. You only get 1 per turn. In the sideboard, Narset, Parter of Veils, really good against the ring decks. 2 Force Negation, Spell Snare, 4 Consign to Memory, and 2 Break the Ice. So I've been on like 4 Break, 2 Consign. Spike kind of flipping that. Toxic Deluge, or 3 Break the Ice, sorry. I go for the 3rd Surgical Extraction, Pithing Needle. So we'll go ahead and run into the league. Some of the things, when Basim first got spoiled, I looked at it in a shadow shell. Tamiyo was definitely in the deck. I think Tamiyo is like one of, if not the best friend for Basim, because they both pair really well with Mishra's Bauble. They both pair really well with Mox Amber. It's legendary to trigger for Basim. You already want to draw a bunch of cards, so Tamiyo gets better to flip. I just think these two are like match made in heaven. The original builds that I was messing around with did not have Psychic Frog and Bowmaster. I did have Tasker, and I had a couple copies of Malcolm Alluring Siren. Is that the name of it? I just played the card like yesterday. Yeah, Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel, because it's a 2-mana flash legendary creature, so it does, Basim does say like once each turn. Yeah, it can only trigger once each turn. So if you flash in a legendary or a saga or something, or an artifact on your opponent's turn, you do get to draw off of that. So Malcolm, I thought, was an interesting way to potentially draw on your opponent's turn and filter through some of the dead stuff. But we'll see how it goes before we start making a bunch of changes. Usually, I always try to say whenever somebody puts a list together and we're interested in trying it out, I don't want to change anything the first go round. And we can always go back and change stuff later. But we'll see what it looks like. See, if I have that start, I'm going to flip Tamio right away. Talking about the double bobble start. Yeah, like, I am all in on the camp that I think Tamio is a legitimate Planeswalker win condition. So I want to cycle as often as possible earlier to try to get Tamio flipped. But I know there's plenty of other players that don't view Tamio the same way. Isn't there a list with Bowmasters, Frogs, Shieldred, Echo Vions floating around? Seems rather similar to this list, other than the Mox package. I know there were some Frog Echo lists running around early into MH3. I don't know if they ever really caught on. Kind of the same way that was Hands Dope, right? Kind of the same way that what's it called? Deep Analysis didn't really catch on. It's just a little bit awkward when your game plan is like these cards are functionally unplayable unless you discard them intentionally. So if you don't see a frog, they're not good. If your frog gets dealt with and then you draw the card, it's a huge feels bad. I was losing to Saga and FrogTide with this list. Didn't feel like I have clean answers. I mean, Tamio ult. That's your answer. We're going to get Thoughtseize turn 1. Okay. Guide of Souls a little bit better to deal with. So hopefully this sets us up for a really good turn 2 of like Basim into Mox Amber, draw a card. Hold up Spell Snare. Keep a counter spell. Tamio Plus doesn't do anything, you're right. But Tamio Ult does do something. So here's a Basim. We've got a Reader. Understandable. I kind of feel like you want to go to a second Otawara in this deck, since you are literally a legendary matter deck. Blue-black can't beat Saga without Dress Down or Flood Moon. Or aggressive Shadows and Nethergoyfs. There's options. They're not great options, but they're options. I also really wish Basim said, like, when a legendary enters the battlefield or something. Well, that's a feels bad, isn't it? Otawara costs only legendary creatures. I should have floated a black. Should have floated a black so I could cling. It's probably okay. So, I mean, I do get to keep cling around in case they have a Flage. We're not in a bad spot. Cling also looking a little awkward with Tasigur. Take my counter spell. Okay. Well, I can get down Tasigur next turn. I kind of want to just cling first so that maybe I can find like a fetch land to be able to Tasigur and hold up Spell Snare. Basim's just such a feels bad card. There are multiple ways it can be pushed to playable, but it just comes short on too many sides. There's just like a couple little things here and there that I wouldn't mind being different. All right, let's play Tamiyo. Hold up Spell Snare. If it like triggered when a Saga came into the battlefield, that would be super sick. Yeah, being a 2/3 would be nice. So Parlor means they can't flage. That's nice. Definitely not letting you have a Bowmaster. Could mean that they have something like an Ajani to follow up. Alright. Fatal Push is a super good pickup. So now we can draw a card off of the Tamiyo clue, have access to Fatal Push. Lay out Tasigur. Basim! Game's easy. Yeah, you either eat the cling or you eat like all the food for the cling. I think either way it's kind of bad. I just don't know if you want to eat, or I don't know if you want to cast the Fatal Push right away. I kind of like holding on to it. One Mox, one Tasker were my cuts every game. Let's see what we got. On the draw, I don't mind cutting a Tamiyo. Probably have to keep Cling. I could definitely see cutting a Mox. I also don't mind cutting a Frog on the draw. Just like doesn't impact the board. I even wouldn't mind cutting a Basim. I kind of like Tasigur a little bit more just because it is a bit of a bigger body. Not a huge body, but don't think you ever cut Basim, really? I feel like if you're cutting a Tasigur and a Mox Amber, that just like naturally makes Basim a slight bit worse. Another Tamiyo. Well, that's unplayable. Am I ever going to cut Titans in my Titan deck? I feel like Titan is a little higher power level than Basim. Maybe I'm wrong, but... Common rule, you're not allowed to cut cards that are in the deck title. I cut stuff from Shadow all the time. Or I cut shadows from Shadow all the time against like Solitude decks and stuff. I guess we'll take a frog. I hold the bobble there for Basim. See, I think that's where we're going to have like a really big difference of opinions. I think you have to smooth out your draws. I think that's so much more important here than waiting to draw one card off your 2-drop on the draw that's probably just going to die immediately. All right, so Ajani's going to enter. We'll Fatal Push the Ajani. For the trigger, just in case they have some jank like Gut Shot my own Ajani. I just feel like turn 2 on the draw, Basim play bobble draw a card is not like stabilizing me at all. So I'd rather that bobble find a way or help me find a way to get into a better spot. I don't even think I can play out Frog here because if they have a discharge, you just get to kill the Frog even if I pump all of my cards into the Frog, I can survive a discharge. I just have to hope they don't have another discharge or a creature to gain an energy or anything of the likes. Old Guide of Souls. Like list somewhat similar, but with Kappa Cannoneer. I don't know if you'd have to adjust things like pretty heavily to make Kappa Cannoneer viable in this list. I feel like that's a complete rework of the deck, which is fine. Like, I think Kappa Cannoneer's a cool card. I just don't know if you could make the deck, like, anywhere similar to this and make Cannoneer viable. All right, so opponent is out of energy. I guess we're just playing Frog and pass. Hold up my 3 cards to be able to discard. I could shock in Watery Grave and sink into Stupor. The guide with the counters. What do we got? If they got like a Johnny plus Guide of Souls, then we're definitely in game over territory. Or Johnny plus Galvanic Discharge. Which I kind of feel like they have a discharge the way that they were shocking in last turn. When I made my my ban list video, yeah, all right. When I made my ban list video a few weeks ago, like before the ban announcement, I said something on there about Guide of Souls has pushed out the like Soul Warden effects. They've just been power crept out. And somebody made a comment on it. And I don't know if their comment was intended to be like, oh my God, you're an idiot for thinking that. Or if it was actually like, oh man, that's crazy to think about. But they made a comment about how like that was crazy or something. I was like, I feel like that's not that crazy. Guide of Souls is just power crept Soul Warden. Like every aspect of the card. Let me see if I can find that comment. End up like calling someone out over it. Because again, it might not have been the way that I took it. Saying Guide of Souls push Soul Sisters out of the format is wild, TBH, or TBH. Maybe they just meant like Soul Sisters wasn't in the format already, so pushing it out's not really a thing. And I'd agree with that, but Soul Warden gets life for your creatures hitting the battlefield for like your opponents. True. Can't argue with that. Facts are facts. I guess I should have started with the Undercity Sewers, because if I saw Basim, I'd probably want to hold the bauble. Like Basim turn 2 on the play plus a bauble is a whole lot different than Basim turn 1 or turn 2 on the draw plus a bauble. I think those are like night and day different lines. Play out the Watery Grave so I can save this Flooded Strand for another Undercity Sewers. All right, so they can't have a discharge here. They can't have an Ajani. So I could go Bowmaster, ping the guide, trade the token, let them resolve Ajani. Ocelot Pride is fine. I'll just like Bowmaster the Pride. We're just taking the 2-for-1, right? Like Bowmaster, ping the Pride, double block the guide. feel like the main purpose of Bowmasters is basically to chump, at least against me, 99% of the times. Chump forever, hate it. Against like any of the big creature decks, more often than not, your Bowmaster's just chumping. But against decks like the energy decks, this is what you want Bowmaster for, is just being able to stabilize the board. Like, if I can give up the Bowmaster at a 2-for-1 my opponent, and they get an energy out of it, then so be it. If they want to burn a Fatal Push on my Bowmaster here, you got it. Pretty okay with this exchange. I gotta get MTG bot changed over. I don't remember how it got changed over last time, but it's currently like picking up my old MTGO account and not the new one. Let's see. Event record, settings. Control freak. So I need to do DB _ control freak _ TTV. See if that works. Might be one of those things that like updates next time I reset Streamlabs. I'm not sure. Not showing your record on stream. What are we, cavemen? Well, I've had 3 different accounts now, and every time I made a new account, it's swapped over my my record display because it pulls from your account name. So it's pulling from Control Freak TTV, and we're currently on DB _ control freak _ TTV. So it's just a nightmare all around, if we're being honest. Alright, let's get Undercity Sewers, try to find something good. Psychic Frog. I'll play out a Psychic Frog. Or see if they want to, like, Guide a Souls block. Opponent has seen through our trickerations. Show me the Flage. They must just be drawing, like, absolute dead. To just be main phasing theaters and whatnot. Okay. Option number 1. We just discard everything to Frog right now. It's a lot worse if they have a Static Prison. But if I let them discard something and I don't discard, then they can just discharge my Frog. Yeah. Push discharge 2 is like healthy-ish median. I could just let this Thoughtseize resolve and take one of these. Am I okay with having either of them? Because, like, if they take the Bowmaster, then I do just get a free redraw on the Cling. If they take the Cling, which there's no way they take the Cling... I don't know. I feel like I like holding on to Cling or having them. I don't think I like this discard both of them line. I feel like I would rather them just. Hearse, sure. Looks a lot better into Hearse. That's for sure. And I do think I'm discarding this Bauble now. Take the damage. I'm not drawing before damage. I could get like an extra counter on the frog, but I want to give myself a chance to maybe draw like a counter spell or something that I would cast. So Tamiyo gets flipped. Eventually. Maybe. Please. Do not want you to grow your hearse. You get nothing. You get nothing, Jon Snow. And we'll just pass with the ability to discard Sink and Tamiyo. So currently the frog is lethal next turn. I can discard Sink and Tamiyo, grow it to a 6. And then next turn be able to draw off the clue, discard my draw for turn. That grows it to 8, and I can exile to give it fly. So barring, that is not going to do it. Frog uncheck is Exodia. My deck has no weak cards, Kaiba. Back to the match record thing. Well, I changed it on the overlay. Just I don't know if it gets updated like right away or if it's got to wait a little bit or what. I unfortunately cannot do much about it. Okay. Exile 3, give the frog fly. But I mean, this is the first match of the league, so. I'm gonna let you have those, sure. Promise you, opponent, that I do not care about those cards. Oh, yeah. No blockers, you say. But it didn't play Flage or Ring, so easy game. I mean, that's usually how it goes against Boros. Oh, you didn't play Static Prison or Ring or Flage? Like, GG, go next. Didn't see all those cards that make your deck busted? That's unfortunate. Still just like shocked that the deck does have a fail rate. This hand's pretty bad. I've got baubles, so maybe I can find my way into something like a fetch land. The hand does get a lot better if I just find a single fetch. But I am on the play, and I feel like I'd rather be more proactive. So I think I'm going to ship this back, look for a hand with like a Tamiyo or 2 lands and a Basim or something. A Tamiyo. A Tamiyo. Uno Tamiyo, por favor. Did get Tamiyo. Got too many Tamiyo. I like Tamiyo. I don't like Tamiyos. Sounds like a great pizza option, though. Guys going over to Tamiyos? Guess what, opponent? There's more where that came from. Oh, yeah. Should have kept the third, but the first or the second one, crap, is living. Who needs a third when one of them is surviving? If they go and flash in a Bowmaster, yeah, I'm not drawing in response. Had to think about it. I think I'm going to save the push through their turn in case they got a frog. I'll take a couple points here. But if they do something like go to counterspell my push and I get to counterspell their counterspell, then I could just flip Tamiyo next turn. And that's pretty appealing. Boop. Just saying. Just saying. I don't make the rules. Kind of forgot this deck was playing main deck Toxic Deluge. Good mean FrogTide. Okay. On their side, I'd never fight over a Bowman. I think Bowman is like vastly overrated in the blue-black mirrors. I think it just doesn't matter like 9 times out of 10. But I see people just like clutching their Bowmans like for dear life in these matchups. Like, I gotta have my Bowman. I can't be seen without my Bowman. It's like, all right. Before you ask, the answer is yes. I know what you're all thinking. The answer is yes. If you don't know the question, you know the question. You might not want to admit that you know the question, but you know the question. I'll keep ticking up Tamio. Do you have the force? Okay. I wasn't going to play around the force. Like, I've got Tamio ticking up as a potential ult. I'm not just going to, like, give that up. Would have shit myself if they forced. Well, they got subtlety. Like, they clearly got stuff. Sorry, Tassiger, go away. Did you see Death Shadow won the Tampa 10K? Yeah, Rakdos Shadow did. Super dope. They have another FrogTide. We were so close. I can't even deluge for 5. This is blasphemy. Sink into stupor off the top. You know what? Your FrogTide's going to attack for 1 or for 4, 1 less. I guess I should have seen if they were attacking me or Tamio. Oh well. I felt so good after the deluge resolved. Like, we're doing it. We're set. Nope. For that brief moment, we were kings. I think I want Cling. Could have picked up Counterspell, but then you're not committing the Tasker. Yeah, I don't think there was a world where I was ever winning the game if, like, they resolved, or I got back Counterspell, they forced, I resolved Toxic Deluge, and then just had nothing following it up, and Narset or Tamio was like 3 extra turns off ulting. Oh. Yeah, Tasker gets outgrown and chumped really big. Or really easily. I don't really want Force. I'll just go back with the Mox Amber Trim plan. How come you're playing this and I just arrived late to the party? I mean, the stream title's been up for a while, so I can't help you on that one. Double Basim looks awkward. People losing with Spike's decks and still saying they aren't trash is the real mystery of the generation. I mean, I don't think Spike's decks are necessarily trash. I do think the general Magic population is... We just played against Dimir, right? This is the same match. I'm not going crazy here. Spike builds his decks with a certain meta in mind. Spike builds his decks with him playing them in mind. And I think that's something that people like vastly underestimate. It's just Spike is not building his deck for the random Timmy out there to play it. Not making card choices for the random Timmy. Like, it's Spike's deck. I guess if they Bowmaster on their main phase, this is kind of bad. Do we see red last game? No, we did not. That's why I was so confused. I had a really funny story way back in a standard, or not a standard, a modern IQ, where I was playing against Infect, and we go through like a long drawn out game one. And at the time, I don't have one of my life pads on me, but I would always write, like I'd have a life pad and I'd always write up at the top what I was playing against. So I'd write down like RW burn, red, white burn, or blue UB control, blue, black control. And I was playing against Infect, and we get through like a long drawn out game one. And at the top of my life pad, I write UG Infect, and get through this long game one, bunch of back and forth, goes like turn 12 or something. Game two, just as long and drawn out. Game three, we get to like the very end of this game. I just answered one of their threats, and on his last turn, he fetches up a Stomping Ground, and I'm like, what? And he shows me an Assault Strobe in hand. And I just like slowly reach up at my life pad and write this little R in front of the UG Infect. It's like, huh. Okay, so we can flip Tamiyo here. Basim counters when I hit them. So we'll attack first so we get the Tamiyo trigger. We'll yield to Basim. Play a bauble. Draw a card. Flip Tamiyo. These Basims are going to look really good pitched to force a negation. Am I right? I kind of don't even want to play out a frog. Because if they have a spell snare here, then they just kind of like get back into the tempo game. So I think I'd rather just pass to their turn. Yeah, I definitely don't have to do anything. Oh, and they're missing land drops too. Oof. Oof. Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag LOL get good scrub. Kidding, opponent. If you see this, I'm kidding. I also have to be careful of them like arc me, just charming Tamiyo. That's what we would call not a fun outcome. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Attack with Basim. I already played my land drop, so I'm not going to force getting a trigger on this Basim. Played Boris recently, but I don't have the second elegant parlor, so put in a red-black Surveil. My opponent went wild like, how do you play Mardu with main deck Moon, you psycho? Joke's on you, I don't. Alright, not really anything crazy. Run it back. Don't really get how an aggro deck like red-white energy gets to play 2 Surveil lands. Like, playing Shadow, if I ran more than one, I would show or have them in every opening hand ever. It's just like a fact. I cannot play the deck with more than one Surveil land. If I have one Surveil land and a basic Swamp in my deck, they will both be in my opening hand like 75% of my matches. Basic Swamp. I'm telling you. It's just fact of life. It's going to be in my hand. I never want it, but it's there. Force of Negation is not doing anything on their turn 2. I can't force a Fatal Push on their turn or on my turn. So I think I am going to play out Tamiyo and pass. And try to just like Tamiyo flip turn 2. Or they got Stern Scolding. Yep. Alright. I'll go ahead and crack Bobble now so they can't get like a Bowmaster trigger on their turn. I hate how my Dimir Shadow hands are either 1 land, 2 short, or 6 lands always. 1 single misstep and we die. Yeah, that's like a big part of the reason that I'm so high on every Shadow deck playing things like 4 Bobble and 4 Street Wraith. Because you have to do like everything in your power to smooth out those first couple of turns. Or you probably just die. So they do get to Fatal Push the Basim, but at least we get like a replacement draw off of it. Okay. Okay. So many Basim. So many Basim, so little time. We'll just pass with Force and Bowmaster and whatnot. Oop. Try to like Surveil into something to trigger Basim. Hope our opponent doesn't have a FrogTide. All right, no FrogTide is nice. Do we have to keep this? I feel like there's such a good chance that they just have a counter spell. But like, what am I doing if I'm not keeping a potential Basim trigger? Bidding's the same as keeping it, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm starting to see why people don't play this deck. Good news, we can now force a Basim through. Oh, literally, we can force a Basim. No! Stop it. Stop it. Alright, well, I can see why whoever won the deck later decided to run, like, go for the throats in the main. Wonder if this deck should play Flare instead of Force. Maybe. I think if you went the Malcolm route and you played Flare, it'd be pretty sick. Alright, I think that I have to cast this other Basim to try to draw into a go for the throat. I will keep this one. I like just have to go for the throat with the force back up and pray. Keep the new one for the extra draw. Sure. The universe says I don't need to keep the new one for the extra draw. How do you respond? Are you going to say that the universe is wrong? Are you going to say that the universe doesn't know what they're talking about? Are you doubting the universe? The universe does not make mistakes. And now, if we end up winning because of that extra damage from attacking with the first Basim, oh, chat's never hearing the end of it from me. We just have to attack. They got 5, 6, potentially 7. 7 damage isn't 8. It's not, but I can also put them dead on board to either one of these attacks, as well as a Bowmaster ping. And all I gotta do is give up Basim. Or if they draw a card off Psychic Frog, they're dead to the Bowmaster ping. You have another Murktide Regent. Get out of here. Get out of here. The universe has let us down. Universe, why do you hate me? Sailor Moon, what's up? He can't draw, but he can just attack for lethal, and unfortunately, that's probably good enough. Now I'm seething for you. Well, we get to see after this is over if that one card more mattered. I can't even, like, click and make it look like I have something. Okay. Feels slightly unnecessary, but... Alright. So I would like to respond by... So the one card would have been a chump blocker. We still wouldn't have had Basim, but... Pauper tournament didn't happen today. The shop had to close for reasons not explained, but ominous safety concerns. That sounds terrifying. Watched football and had Chili Mac. Less terrifying. Very nice spin on the day. Match 1 was Mardu energy, where opponent did a whole lot of wheel spinning and not casting Flages and the One Rings and like all those really good cards. All right. We came to Basim and chewed bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. So. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get used to like the second Basim resetting the first. Or the second Basim being a reset for the first. Because like you said, that last game, we could have drawn one more card off Basim. But I wanted the damage. I really don't think it would have ended up mattering, but when it was a go for the throat or die situation. Shambling Gas. So is this going to be... Is this going to be like a zombies deck? Like a Soul Flayer? Not Soul Flayer. Soul Trader? Soul Warden. No, what the hell's the name of the 3-drop? The 2 and a black 3-drop that combos with Gravecrawler. Soul something. I know it's not Soul Flayer. I know it's not Soul Warden. I swear it's Soul Trader. Warren Soul Trader. MTG Warren Soul Trader. Yes. That thing. I always love moments like that because I guarantee you there's somebody watching the YouTube video later that's just like screaming at their computer screen like, Warren Soul Trader, you idiot. How do you not know Warren Soul Trader? Let me fix my reading glasses here real quick. Undead Butler. Can't be countered because of Cavern of Souls. 1 in a black, 1/2. When Undead Butler enters, mill 3 cards. When Undead Butler dies, you may exile it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Modern staple, Undead Butler. Patent pending. I feel like I'm going to get Soul Tradered off on like turn 3. Undead Augur. Cursed Marauder. Each player sacrifices a non-token creature. When it dies, choose 1. I will take 1. Zombies in Modern Pog. Dude, I played in an RCQ and got absolutely run over by zombies. They were like blue-black zombies with, what's it called? The one blue instant that you like look at the top 3, put up to 1 back, the rest in the graveyard. Like Dredge plays it. They were playing that. All the normal like Soul Trader, Shambling, or Soul Trader, Bloodghast, Gravecrawler shenanigans. And they just absolutely demolished me. Because like I had these good hands. And then they kept playing things that, yeah, Otherworldly Gaze. They kept playing things that I just did not have on my radar. Like, I went to go Thoughtseize one turn to set up a shadow, and he responds with the white instant that Hammer Time plays that gives you protection. And I was like, what the shit? And then next turn, like, Prismatic Ending to my Nethergoyf. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie token. Okay. Mishra's Bobble's a really good draw here because it gives me a Basim trigger. I've drawn 1 card for turn, 1 card with Basim trigger. So I've got another Psychic Frog draw that can flip Tameo. So let's discard Counter Spell because it doesn't matter anymore. And we'll discard the second Psychic Frog. So I think I want to keep the Basim to potentially make this Basim unblockable next turn. Attack with the squad. And we'll hit them, flip Tameo. I guess I can discard the land too. I want to keep Sink into Stupor because it does get around Cavern of Souls. So if they've got like a Soul Trader or something, I can bounce it back. Tameo, so good against any of the go wide decks. There's a really good Pauper deck that's just Slime Time with 4 counterspells, 4 other Worldly Gaze, 4 Deep Analysis, the rest slimes. Sideboard is standard good blue-green stuff. That sounds pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. Show me a Soul Trader. I would like you to put that back into your hand, please. You got it. Next turn, we've got Mox Amber, Trigger Basim, Soul or Psychic Frog flying over. Sure. Tameo is smaller. I guess the only thing I really need to be careful of is like Flare of Denial. That's a card that exists. Let's go Mox Amber, draw a card. All 3 to the frog. If they do go for a Flare of Denial, I can flash in my Bowmaster. So now it would be the largest CMC or tied for the largest, so I can just sack it off. Let's see. Hi, man. Big fan. Used to see your content on YouTube. Pretty new here. Well, appreciate you coming around. Thank you for the follow as well. I'm not even going to attempt to say your name. Verdatter Puto, a Model A twin. Sounds good to me. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to come hang out. I'm going to assume I said it correctly. And we're just going to leave it at that. So, Deluge. I'll bring in Surgical. It can, like, break up the combo a little bit. Just, like, board out some counter spells. All the counter spells look pretty bad. Am I famous? Absolutely not. I'm like middle tier at best. Real kid, I love twin. Is that the translation? I'll keep this because it's got Toxic Deluge. And I can filter. The translation is more like the real effing Twin Master. Okay. I respect that. I like the confidence. Also, what did I say about, like, always just naturally drawing Surveil lands? Just always there. Surveils and basics. I never want them, but just constantly they're showing up unannounced. I think our opponent's playing, like, Phyrexian Tower. That's something I need to have on my radar. No. Okay. Well, I do get a Basim trigger. That's pretty awesome. Basim. Bubox Amber. Ooh. Ooh. Don't say. I do like a fatal push. Which means I'm probably hanging on to this polluted delta for a bit since it can take out a soul trader. Unless that's what this is. Yep. You can sack one of these, create 2 treasures, or kill the Basim. Who's ready to get comboed? Why no Shadow today? Like to mix it up sometimes or get bored of the archetype. Just curious. Well, we played Shadow before this league. We started off finishing up a league of Dimir Shadow. But I do like changing it up from time to time. And like, we do like discussing things like channel growth. And if playing Shadow all the time is, or playing Shadow all the time is like not the most optimal way to grow the channel. Because not everybody's going to be a big Shadow fanatic. Now, the Shadow content does get the most views. So it's definitely important to keep it in there. But some people do like seeing other stuff. Especially when it's something like interesting and new that people haven't seen before. I think they're just going to go ahead and go for this. I know you played old school Grixis Death Shadow recently, and you tend to be pretty open-minded. Do you think spirits and humans can make a comeback in modern with enough brewing or innovation? I think out of the two, humans has a better chance. I don't think either of them are like spectacularly well placed. They just get back another soul trader. That's kind of I feel like that's kind of a weird one to get back. FGC gifting a tier 1 sub to Cat Lirana. Thank you so much. Cat, welcome to the subscribers. Enjoy access to all of our sweet custom Death Shadow emotes. Bam. FGC, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Greatly appreciate it. All right, Tassiger's a good pickup. So now I can kill off the Soul Trader and have Tassiger. Clark coming in with a 4-month resub. I always forget I use Prime for this. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Welcome back to the subscribers. You as well enjoy continued access to our sweet custom Death Shadow emotes. I think I mentioned it once, maybe twice in like one of the recent streams. We are getting some new emotes, and I'm super excited about that. I don't know exactly when they will be ready, but they are happening. And I'm not going to reveal what they are just yet, but didn't even think of the business streamer side of things. That's a valid point. And the issue with tribals, it's tough to rely on synergy unless the payoffs are extremely strong. I agree with the needing strong synergy. From the business streamer side, I don't really mind like playing different decks. I do think it's nice to change things up from time to time, and I don't make like so much off of the stream that it's something that really matters in terms of like needing to play decks that perform well views wise. I'm going to keep Basim, kind of a follow-up after they Soul Trader here and I Deluge. If I was at a spot where I was like making X amount and needed to stream for primary income, then it might be different. But that's not the case, so I'm not as worried about it. But I do like keeping up with like numbers, and it's cool to see that, oh, Dimir Shadow usually has the best numbers. Play Basim. Hopefully we can find something to trigger it next turn. An off-topic question. In Dimir Shadow, how do you side versus Merfolk? Is that really off-topic in the like Shadow stream channel? I got ran over 0-2 yesterday despite doing Tamiyo flip turn 2 both games. Felt super hard to deal with Tide Binders and Harbinger. I'm on no swamp. Never struggled versus Merfolk until yesterday, where it seemed super hard to play through. Or more removal. Are we about to like get to activate a Tasigur for the first time in however many years it's been since I've activated a Tasigur? Should have held on to that for Frog. But how do I sideboard versus Merfolk? First off, Merfolk is like a very tough matchup. It's a lot easier for the non-blue-black Shadow builds. So like Jund, Rakdos, even Grixis has an easier time. In Dimir, you usually have to accept that like you're going to have a lot of times that counter spells, spell snare, stub, and stuff are dead. And there's just nothing you can do about it. Like they have Cavernous Souls, they have Aether Vial. It sucks. Deluge is definitely coming in. I'll board in Stern Scoldings just because I think they're better than like Counterspell. Hope they don't have Cavernous Souls, or hope they have to double up spells early. Sideboarding out, I'm usually taking out Street Wraiths because we don't get an advantage to having a really big Shadow where like Grixis and Jund and stuff can potentially Battle Rage. We can't. So having a Shadow at like a 9/9 over a 5/5 doesn't really make that big of a difference. So Stern Scolding's in, Deluge is in, Street Wraith out, and then the extra spot will be something like Stub out. So like those 6 for those 6. And again, just kind of accept that Counterspell is going to be dead a lot of the time. Really not much you can do about it. All right, I'm assuming this is or assuming this is just attack because it's free. If they have like a, God, I don't know, a Bile Blight or something to give -3/-3, you got me. I guess they get Spy Master's Vault. That's something. Carrion Feeder, sure. Tasigur. It's been so long since I've activated a Tasigur. Yeah, we'll go ahead and fetch down. Counter spell, not the greatest hit here. So let's attack in. I do need to get the game over with. And if they decide to like block, sack, I think that's fine with me. All right, see if they want to go Grave Crawler crazy. Doesn't look like it. Yep. Hit me for 3. You got it. You can Spy Master's Vault if you want. Ooh, I forgot about Bowmaster paying off that. That is conniving, isn't it? Why is Dimir your favorite color pie combo? Just playstyle, or do you like the lore of the guild too? The lore of the guild's all right. Really, it's just liking the playstyle of like efficient threats and counter spells, and having access to really good, cheap interaction, both on the removal and the counter side. The threats are usually a little lackluster, but they're cheap. I'm always a fan of cheap threats. Sacrifices a non-token creature. So if I sink into stupor this, what happens? Still have to find an answer to Carrion Feeder. I could sink into stupor the Carrion Feeder. I don't mind that. I could also just let this resolve and activate Tasigur. I could activate Tasigur first. All right. Save sync for when they go for lethal next turn. I mean, it would be like the same as if they went for it. Or same as if I sync now or waited to sync. Because they wouldn't have the carrion feeder to be able to replay this turn regardless. No. The Mox Amber loop. Oh boy. The Tasigur Mox Amber loop. So we can start with activate Tasigur to see if we hit anything else. Everything else in hand kind of sucks. So we might as well see if we find like a fatal push or something. Sink it to Super Psychic Frog's not bad. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just give me, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Part of me wants to play out new Tasigur. Part of me wants to go Tasigur Frog pass. And I feel like there's not a lot of ways we dive from there. I guess I can just go Tasigur, hold up sync. And die to some random, like... The reason to not play just Tasigur would be another copy of a Cursed Marauder. Like, just making me sacrifice my Tasigur. For no real reason. Plus, I would be able to hold up lethal next turn, which I can't do if I just play the Tasigur. So, sink into Stupor. Oop. No connive for you. Mox Amber, you she-devil. So here's a frog, and we'll pass with counterspell up. Plan on discarding the Mox Amber to the frog, and whatever I draw for the to the frog, you get one uncounterable spell, assuming it's a zombie. Remember that time I made a joke about, like, more Accursed Marauders? That's all 4 of them. Alright. So we throw away the Tasigur because the Psychic Frog can fly over for lethal. I'm telling you, like, at a certain point when it comes to playing on Magic Online, you have to know, like, what happens for you. And for me, I know that if my opponent's out is finding an Accursed Marauder, they're going to find an Accursed Marauder. It's just a fact of life. I have to be aware of it. I have to play around it. Oh, but they're not going to have the 4th Accursed Marauder in the top 20 cards. You want to bet? You want to put money on that? All right. We don't have a way to trigger Basim, but we do have a Spell Snare on the draw. We're not up against the Giganta deck, so possibly not Boros Energy. Spoke too soon. I apologize. That's on me. Actually, this is probably Storm if this is a Wooded Foothills. Because usually Boros Energy is going to play white fetches because you want your basic plains with Blood Moon. So I'm going to go into this assuming Storm. Stonks. Got to get those little percentage points where you can. Let's play the Sink into Stupor. There's a chance I might end up in a situation where I want to, like, Otawara bounce a Ruby Medallion or a Ral or something. Impulse is fine. Saw Red-White Storm today. This is the second time I've played against Storm today. Apparently they just out here. Exile the Reckless Impulse. Storm players just out here in the streets. I was surprised it was red-white and not red-green or mono-red. I don't think I've seen red or mono-red ever. It's always been some sort of a splash. I know Naya has been pretty popular since you get like the silence effects as well as the silence effects as well as like the blow up an artifact or enchantment stuff. I think I'm just sitting on double counterspell here. I don't like it because I'm not getting the game over with, but Storm good. Gotta put good in like really big air quotes. Like, Storm is good. It is a modern deck. All right, Tassiger's a really good pickup. So now I can actually trigger Basim. Draw me a card. Hope we don't die. Play bad decks and beat Storm. That's also very fair. Probably not the end all be all metric, but fair. I think I'm letting this go. I think at this point, like, I don't really care if they have a bunch of mana. Right? Yeah. I don't care if they have a bunch of mana. I want to fight over, like, the mana reducers and the payoffs. Yeah. Let this go. Kind of hoping that they just, like, cast Strike It Rich or something, and they get less tokens. No, I think I'm literally not countering anything that doesn't say reduce mana or, like, Past in Flames. I will counter this because this does go back to the give them tokens. But now that they've used up all their tokens, I think I'm a little safer. Care about a push. So this is 7. Okay. Snare medallion. Activate Tassiger. Oh, give me a Mox Amber. Give me a Mox Amber. Do it. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I don't know why you wouldn't just give me the Fatal Push, but... You don't want to just give me the redraw. So... How does this look? I hit him for 7. What if I go like... Tameo... Otawara my Basim... Replay Basim... Mox Amber, draw another card, flip my Tameo. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I still have enough mana to cast another... I still have enough mana to cast another counter spell if I find one. So... Bounce Basim. This gives me another draw off of Mox Amber, so I can potentially find another counter spell. Fortunately, we don't, but that one, tick up, go. See what we got. And then I feel like if we get to, or have to go to next turn, if they make tokens or something, another glimpse, then potentially Tameo just buying back Counterspell or Spell Snare or something should help us kind of seal the deal. Morphos is fine. Now I'm pretty sure I'm like not countering anything that doesn't say Past in Flames. Okay. I'm going to let this resolve because I don't care about Empty the Warrens. Tameo, tick up, keeps me safe from Empty the Warrens. But if they try to grab Past in Flames, they don't have the mana to Past in Flames, so they would have to have another land in hand or a ritual. It could get Galvanic Relay, but I don't really care about Galvanic Relay. Yeah, I think I'm just letting this go. Like, if they get Galvanic Relay, they still have to relay into something. Underworld Breach. So, if I counter this, I don't think they can go off with 2 cards. But if I let this resolve, I run the risk of them having, like, Ritual. I counter it. They play a land, another Ritual. So, I'm just going to counter the Breach. Yeah. Okay. Relay always when they want to set up next turn. You can go off same turn with Relay. Usually you really need a mana reducer to go off same turn, but it's always possible. Alright, Consign, Spell Snare, Force. Probably bringing in Surgical just because I have it, though I'm not like super thrilled with it. Push can go away. Bowmaster can go away. Deluge can go away. We're back in a push. Take out Cling. I really think in these like counterspell heavy lists, you don't need to be as concerned with the graveyard because Past in Flames just becomes like a 4-mana sorcery speed counter magnet. So you don't have to rely on like Unlicensed Hearse and Nihil Spellbomb and stuff as much, or really at all. Kling's definitely medium, but it is a redraw. It's like an early game, find a new card. So we've got Fatal Push. Ooh, Def Jag coming in with the raid. Thank you, thank you. Hope you had an awesome stream. Welcome, welcome everybody from Patrick's stream. It's your first time here. My name's Michael, Control Freak on Magic Online. Many know me as a standard content creator. Apparently that's all I'm good at. Friends Resolve, sure. Ooh. Brain dead after a 9-hour stream. That is insanity. 9 hours. All right. Tamio is free since we got the Mox Amber here. 9 hours. I don't want to deal with people for 9 hours. All right, come on. Give me a ruby medallion. Just cast a ruby medallion. It's that easy. Just ruby medallion on the stack. Ruby medallion. One time ruby medallion. I could counter the Pyretic Ritual and probably end their turn on the spot. Yes. They doing that just to have Pyretic Ritual in their yard? Or just to have Past in Flames in their yard? Because you're not going to. Ha 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 ha. See what we did there? We made them think they were going to have a Pyretic Ritual or Past in Flames. Past in Flames. And they didn't. All right, go ahead. Get wrecked. How's the list feeling right now? Well, we found out round 2 that we cannot beat a FrogTide Regent. Like, at all. Can't do it. I will learn from my mistakes this time. What does Past in Flames do in the graveyard? Flashes back. So if they get enough mana, they just have access to Past in Flames. So exiling it just stops it from being in the graveyard. All right, I could try to like save my clue to flip Tamio. But there's no world imaginable where I am, I'm cracking 2 clues on my turn and tapping off of Counterspell and Consign. I will play a Tamio. Draw a card. I'll keep the untapped one. Thank you very much. You never saw the flashback? That's like half the reason this card was so busted. Because you had lines available in Gift Storm of like Ritual, Past in Flames, Recast Ritual, Grape Shot You, Flashback Past in Flames, Grape Shot You. And that's like 18 damage. So you can just end the game on the spot right there. I used to play a good bit of Storm. Fun deck. I'm kind of counterspell heavy. I think I might just counter this. Because even if their last two cards are Ritual, they can't pass in Flames for a benefit. Sure. D-Zeri, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Wasn't around when Storm was popular before. Oh, I lived in Caleb's streams. Caleb Scherer's streams. He was playing Storm just like every single day. No, you didn't grape shot my Basim. Okay. Well, okay, so next turn, I would have drawn Bobble. We're probably attacking and drawing one off Tamiyo to see what we hit. Since we'd hit the second land, we'd play it out, crack another clue, flip the Tamiyo, and then start working towards ult with Counterspell up, because all they'd have is one card in hand plus one draw for turn. So, in case opponent didn't scoop and they killed the Basim, that's how the next turn would go out. Did you see the price of Charmal? And we're going to go look at the price of Charmal now. Obsidian. I think I bought mine when they were like 0.7 a piece. Oh, they're up to like almost 4. Yeah, I bought mine somewhere right around in here. Like towards the end of August. I think they were like 0.7 a piece. Capoeira 02. We're playing against the Brazilian dance fighting master. Giganta, pretty bad hand, especially on the draw. Better, not great. Bought foil ones on release at like 50 cents. What are the foil ones going for? Obsidian, Charmal. Foil ones are like $7.50 in paper. Pretty good investment. Shadowy Backstreet. So I'm assuming we're up against Mardu. Push is a good pickup. Went to Brazil when I was like 15, 16 years old. Watching the capoeira dances, fights was sweet. I remember watching a guy teach his 2 kids in the street performances. Those kids are probably grown and kicking butt like no tomorrow. I always get annoyed because like when I was 7-ish, like 6, 7-ish, was back when Pokemon was first starting getting popular. And I remember going to like a Barnes and Noble. Do I just want to kill this? Like stop the energy? I think I'm going to. Kill this so that I can play out a Psychic Frog next turn. And they won't be able to discharge it if I threaten to like hold up my hand. But I went to like a Barnes & Noble when I was like 6 or something. and they were playing Magic. Shocker. And I really wanted to get into Magic. Like, really wanted to check it out. And this was like 96 or so. So, revised era. And just didn't. And I always kick myself for that. Because I got big into Pokemon. I had a bunch of Static Prison. You have like an Ajani to follow it up. Sometimes it's better to just not say anything. Just let your opponent have the Ajani. Of course, I know they do. I just kind of hope maybe there's a chance they don't. So, options are play out of Basim just to have something on the battlefield. Hold up, sink into Stupor. Hold up, Counterspell. Concede the game. Go for like sink into Stupor their Static Prison and try to block. I got a game loss in my first MTG tournament. Asked the shop owner if the From the Vaults Dragons cards were allowed in the tournament. He said in their respective formats, but I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player that didn't know what a format was, so all I heard was yes. Okay. I do think I'm going to sink into Stupor this Static Prison. I kind of want to draw cards. And I hear my opponent not having a Static Prison is like a good way to draw cards. Bowmaster, shoot the cat. See if they want to flip the Ajani. Yeah? Yeah? You wanna flip it? Okay. Back Ajani. Discard. Discard. Please hit a land. Please, in the name of all things just and holy in this universe, hit a land. All right. My brother and I, when we were kids, showed up to our first tourney to play a two-headed giant. We had decks made, but we weren't in the right format or block or whatever. So I remember my first F&M was during Lorwyn block, and I made this like sweet mono red elementals deck, and I played round one, lost to a blue black fairies player, and then I didn't know that you couldn't change decks between rounds, so I went into round two with Tree Folk and ended up beating my opponent. He was like, "Wait, didn't you play like elementals round one?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can't swap decks." Like, well, I did. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I absolutely swapped decks. I said it once, and I will say it again, that I am 1000% convinced that Ajani is the 2024 Siege Rhino. They always come in multiples. They're good if you cast them in multiples because you just get to flip the first one. Everybody's got their I'm a noob story. Really do. Like, it's so easy to have noob stories. They're everywhere. And Johnny's the cherry on top of white cards. True. So true. But it had no board 5 seconds ago. Yeah, but it doesn't take 5 seconds to resolve an amped raptor. Unfortunately. No. You know what? If nothing else, I'm going to get this moral victory. Get out of here. Ha 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 ha. I guess I gotta hold on to that for when I maybe get my frog back. Or they just got a hasty Giganta this turn. Nah, we'll scoop it up. Mana weaving was normal practice for a long time in the beginnings. I did that in Pokemon all the time. Obviously, we were like 7 years old playing in the back of the house, so it didn't really matter. But there'd be plenty of games where it was just like, oh, I want energy, and just like stacking your energy and put your deck down. But everybody did it. It wasn't just me. I really don't like the surgical flage plan. I feel like there's a reasonable amount of the time that you just have to do it, but not a play that I'm ever excited to make. Tasker definitely looks a lot worse now that I know they have static prisons in the main. But its Flage get a whole Lightning Helix when Croxa only gets 2/3 of a Blightning. Only like situational 1/3 of a Blightning, right? Because if they discard a non-land card, then they don't take the damage. So all you did was like 2 mana, discard 1 for 2/3 of the price. So it's like some weird 3... What would it be? 2, 4, 3... 1/3, 2/3, 2/6. Is it really just... Yeah, there's just 1/2 chance of... It's like you reduce a mana from Blightning, but you reduce the efficiency. I think it's like a 1/2 a Blightning after the math is all out. Two-thirds of a Blightning, 2 mana, Helix, 2 mana. But it's not always a Helix. It's a Helix half the time. Another funny story about Grim and I, we used to play as kids. The first cards he bought Gerard the Closed Fist and Marhalt Else Dragon. I bought Ishan's Shade, Lord of Tressorhorn, and Solkanar the Swamp King. And we like proxy them in our decks and move them to the battlefield in those hard baseball cases. Love it. I remember the first time I got like an actual binder for my Pokemon cards. And I was so stoked about that. 'Cause I had like my page of Charizards in front. You think it's wise to invest in a bunch of Furies? Feels like it'd be okay now. I mean, it's probably not like... I'm going to keep this just because I can get a Surveil land here. I feel like it's probably not the worst idea to get Furies. I don't think it's ever getting unbanned. And I don't think that it sees enough play in, like, Legacy to support the price. But there's always the chance that Commander players pick it up if it's cheap. And that can help. First card I paid more than $5 for was Huntmaster of the Fells, and 6 months later I bought Goyfs. I pulled a Goyf when they were like 180 bucks and immediately sold. I opened one pack of Future Sight in my entire life, pulled a Goyf when they were like 180 and immediately turned around and sold it. I was like, that's it. I've peaked. Never opening another one of these. You too? Nice. Blood Brothers. I think the first over $5 card I got. So the first over $5 card I got, I did not buy. It was the Player Rewards Cryptic Commands from Lorwyn. So we just got like sent those in the mail. Didn't have to worry about buying them. Frog. Frog, you look so bad. But I think the first over $5 card I actually bought was Nova Chaser. Was Nova Chaser over $5? The Nova Chaser, like Incandescent Soul Stoke in Standard. I don't know what the price of Soul Stoke was. Goldfish only starts in 2011, but I feel like Nova Chaser was over $5. I don't think I can afford to play out a Frog here, fortunately. Oh, and then Birds of Paradise I bought for the Tree Folk deck. Those were like $6 or $7 at the time. And Innistrad was rotating. I wanted to keep playing Jund. Definitely respectable. Yeah, you got a Thoughtseize. The first in-store tournament that I won was for a booster box of Oath of the Gatewatch. Cracked it open, pulled 4 expeditions from it. Dang. People in the store were like freaking out. Unfortunately, they were all janky ones like Core Haven. The ones like Core Haven and Dust Bowl and Tectonic Edge. Yeah, I could not for the life of me figure out why they printed those into expeditions. That made no sense whatsoever. Got all these really cool cards you can print in. Here's Dust Bowl. Here's Core Haven. Here's Tech Edge. Also bought Lorwyn Thoughtseason 3 weeks before they got spoiled for Theros. Ew. They were like, what, $40 or so? Might have been more than that. Bruh, stop it. Stop the Ajani's. $70. $70. Okay. Basim, you're not looking like my favorite card at the moment. I know I bought Celestial Colonnades. I played Modern only online, like way back when Modern first came out. And then I took a hiatus, came back towards like the end of Return to Ravnica, and decided to build a paper Modern deck. And I bought Celestial Colonnades, Snapcaster, and Scalding Tarns when all of those were like $70 a piece. Like 60 to 70. That hurt. What a poker hand. Paid 20 for Colonnades and they were trashed shortly thereafter. Like, Celestial Colonnade. Sorry, opponent, you just gotta deal with it. Like, what is this? Theros. This is also Magic Online. Yeah. Probably somewhere. I feel like it was earlier than this though, but it must have been right around this like 50 point that I bought them. Middle of 16. Then they dropped a bit and came back up. So I feel like I had them before Ixalan. But maybe I'm misremembering. I'll take 4 here. People really jammed 4 of those, but the card was not even good. Yeah, I played Jeskai Nahiri. So it's just like Nahiri, Cryptic Command, Snapcaster, Remand, Bolton Helix, Path. Then eventually Nahiri ult and go get your Emrakul to attack them. And that was like the entire deck. That's all you did. So Colonnade was just like the backup plan to Nahiri and Snapcaster beats. All right. I guess we're just going to have to deluge. Let them refill their board, and then maybe we can deluge again. Catch them off guard. If we find another land, we can, like, maybe deluge, hold up, counterspell. My other good story was the Masterpieces. It was during Kaladesh. I went for a tournament. There was a snowstorm that day. One guy was stuck on the highway. Called the store and asked if we could wait. There was like 11 of us. He made 12, so we waited. We got there. He bought everyone a booster for waiting for him. Pulled a Masterpiece Mox Opal. Nice. I pulled a Soul Ring I think they were like 200 or so at the time. Third of Johnny. Come on. Get out of here. We were preparing for some sealed or draft event, and I ended up pulling a soul ring out of just like a Walmart bundle that I picked up on the way to the limited practice. All right. We're going to scoop it up here. We can't beat a Johnny plus, what's it called? Like 3-2's not bad for the first Basim list. Let's actually go back to the Basim deck so you can see what we're talking about in the post-game wrap-up. What did we think? Basim in multiples felt really bad. We got Pi coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. Hope you had an awesome stream. Greatly appreciate it. Welcome everybody from Pi's stream. Hope you're all having an awesome afternoon. We just finished up this Basim list. So we're doing like, you also played this one. What did you think of it? So we lost to a Murktide. I felt like I had no answers to a Murktide whatsoever. And we beat a Mardu Energy and lost to a Mardu Energy. And then beat Storm and beat something else. But I had multiple Basims a bunch of times and just like couldn't find lands. Like I was very, very land light. Couldn't double spell a lot of the times I wanted to. All right, let's see what your changes were. Cut a Tassiger. Unearth. Unearth is interesting. Cut on Mox Ambers. 4/6. Spell Snare. Went up a land, which I like. Extirpate, Deluge, go for the throat. 3 Vendilion click. You mad lad. I love the clicks. So yeah, I feel like we didn't have any good way of answering a Murktide. And Basim as a 2-mana play was pretty underwhelming. Like 2 mana draw a card but die to everything was tough. So I don't know what kind of direction I want to go with it.